So listen, since last week, there has been pretty much an infinite amount of news for Marvel Spider-Man 2. We have talked about it non-stop. But I feel like at an unfortunate time, they dropped a trailer that gave us so much information about the open world because it was followed by a bunch of people giving their hands-on impressions. But I want to go back to that open world trailer, okay? Because there's some things that you definitely missed that I want to go over in this video. Let's break it all down. Starting off, immediately when that trailer opens, you get this awesome shot of both Peter and Miles swinging together. It pans over to the city and you see the Spider-Man 2 logo pop up. I have a feeling this is probably the opening cutscene of the game. Now, it could be that Insomniac is just doing this for the marketing material specifically. They have in the past just created stuff that is just for the trailers, so you never know, but it looks like it's a part of that opening swing, something that we'll see when we first get our hands on it, which by the way is in less than 30 days. If you're hyped, scroll down and hit the thumbs up button. But okay, later on in the trailer, you can see Miles pulling up the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man app, and there's a couple of missions that you already see are available. The main mission is called Healing the World, which calls back to a line that Harry Osborn and Venom said during the story trailer, and I'd have to imagine, considering the mission's description is having Peter most likely going to the Emily May Foundation for the first time, that foundation's mantra is healing the world. And yes, you can tell that the main mission is for Peter Parker based on the spider icon that's next to the mission. And there's also a side mission with a little flame icon. The title of the mission is Where Have You Been? And some people were speculating maybe this has something to do with Human Torch. Are they calling back to the Ultimate Spider-Man game? As cool as that would be, unfortunately, I think this is a bit of a reach. We kind of know what this mission is about as we find out later on in the trailer, so we'll get to that in a bit. There's a senior prank mission for Miles, and there's also a side mission about trying to find someone's grandpa, which is pretty interesting. And it looks like you can do that mission with either of the Spider-Men, as it has both of their icons next to it. But I find that interesting because I wonder what the difference in dialogue and interaction is going to be like depending on which Spider-Man you play with during those missions that have both of them being available. And then at the bottom of the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man app, you can see that there is a button prompt that allows you to switch to the other Spider-Man. So in this moment, we can see that the player is controlling Miles, and then they switch over to Peter, where he looks like he's doing some sit-ups on, I believe, the Avengers Tower. Later in the trailer, we also see a team-up takedown between both Miles and Peter, and I love the way that they work together here. It's so cool. Like I said, when you're free roaming around the open world and you come across a random crime, there is a chance that you're gonna have the other Spider-Man there helping you. Sometimes they'll already be there when you arrive, and sometimes they'll jump in and help you. And to perform a team takedown, from what I understand, the way it works is when you're just playing as the Spider-Man and you're about to go for that hit that'll normally knock out an enemy, sometimes it'll just automatically do a team-up takedown. It feels very satisfying, very fluid, and seeing both Spider-Man working together, it's just such a sight to see. I can't wait for you guys to all experience it. Then we see Peter soaring through the sky at high speeds as he pulls out his web wings and scans the open world, and while this is where we can get a bit of an idea as to what that flame icon mission was about. It shows over on the right a description of that mission has something to do with helping out a Chief Clark. This is probably a fire chief of some sort, so we're helping out the fire department in some way from this side mission. So no, there's not going to be any Human Torch from what we can tell, unfortunately. There's also some other icons that you can see in the open world, but we'll get to that later. Brian Intar says during this video that there are going to be visual cues for some of the side activities that are going to be available in Marvel Spider-Man 2, and this is where we get to see the hint that Mysterio is going to be in the game. I mean, Brian Intar literally, and I quote, when they show that logo, says that a mysterious symbol is projected into the sky. Plus, I mean, come on, you know, it's green, it looks like weird magic. We're all Spider-Man fans, right? We know exactly what this is, and I'm pretty sure we can deduce that this has something to do with Big Wheel. He also mentions the side quest with the spider bots, and I've talked plenty about that in previous videos, but if you want to learn more about this potential Spider-Verse side quest, check out my video about newly confirmed alternate suits for Marvel Spider-Man 2. And then we get a look at what I think is Mysterio, but not literally his supervillain costume Mysterio. This is more accurately Quentin Beck. It's so weird to me that so many people online think that this is the final design of Mysterio in Marvel Spider-Man 2. I think that is just insane. Clearly, it's Quentin Beck in his civilian clothing, and he's got a nice jacket on if you ask me, and I'm sure once he gets the fishbowl, once he's got some gauntlets in there, he's gonna look very Mysterio'd up. Plus, I mean, flashback to the Halloween mission from Spider-Man PS4. We know, in-universe, canonically, Mysterio has worn his iconic costume in the past. You're seriously thinking that Insomniac's gonna put him in this game and not give him his iconic look, or at least a modernized look at Mysterio. And well, you can tell that he's actually reaching his hand out to both Miles and Genki. And you can tell specifically, well, because you can see a bit of Miles's hair, but also Genki was wearing that bucket hat when we saw him later on in the trailer. And I find this particularly interesting because it looks like what they're going to do with Mysterio in this game is, rather than have him be a familiar foe that Peter has to face off against, this is going to be a new threat to Miles. This is brilliant in my opinion because we know in universe that Peter has already fought Mysterio before. So if he's going to fight him again, he knows that what Mysterio is doing is projecting illusions. Miles though is new to this, so Mysterio to him is someone he's never interacted with before. So those illusions are going to be brand new to him and he's not going to be sure what's real or not. And while there's no footage of this because we were only provided a select amount of B-roll from PlayStation, when I got my hands on with Marvel Spider-Man 2, I did roam over to Coney Island to see what was going on there. I saw the Hydro bench, I saw Big Wheel, all those little Easter eggs were awesome, but what I could tell is that during this scene in the trailer, Quentin Beck is standing in front of his own escape room called the Mysterium, which you can find on Coney Island. And if we rewind all the way back to the story trailer that was released during San Diego Comic-Con, there is a moment where Harry introduces himself to Miles Morales, and you can see that Genki is there as well, and he's wearing that same bucket hat. I believe they're at Coney Island during this cutscene, so it's probably one long sequence where you're exploring Coney Island, and then you come across the Mysterium escape room, and you're introduced to Quentin Beck. Then we get another look at the open world and some of the different side activities that we can check out while we're free roaming around the city. One of them has to do with the Prowler because we see a straight up Prowler icon. And I'm really wondering what this could be because at the end of Spider-Man Miles Morales, I mean, Prowler was sent to prison. So did he serve a very short sentence because Spider-Man 2 only takes place 9 to 10 months after the events of Spider-Man Miles Morales? Or could this just be something like, you know, Aaron Davis has left some stuff behind for Miles to find, or there's going to be collectibles? Who knows? Maybe Miles is going to be making some more beats in Spider-Man 2.
I'm just here to save my friend.
What's cool is during a following scene, you can see when they pull up the Friendly Neighborhood Spider-Man app that one of the side missions has to do with rooftop fireworks. And that moment where Peter's overlooking the city, you can actually see that side mission active. You can see those fireworks going off. I think that's just so cool. Little details like that just make New York City feel so alive in Marvel Spider-Man 2. We get another cool team takedown with Miles and Peter, and you can actually notice that on the L1 attack wheel, Peter has all Iron Arm abilities attached. One of them is this sweet wind tunnel move that you can do, which is super satisfying in gameplay. Another one allows you to do like a flurry of attacks with the Iron Arms against your opponent. And the other two, I can't quite remember. I'm not even sure if I used them when I got my hands on with the game, but one of them has something to do with potentially launching an enemy in the air, which I believe we might have gotten a look at from this same trailer. And then the other one maybe has something to do with electrocuting your opponent in some way, because I mean, you can kind of see the little shock symbol there. There's also some new gadgets on the gadget wheel that we didn't get a chance to use. We only had access to the web grabber, which you can see is the one that's attached to the square button. And then there's another one that's attached to the triangle button, and that one's pretty simple. You just web something out and then it's just shooting at enemies. Following this, we get a good look at the UI for the open world in Marvel Spider-Man 2 and some of the side activities that are going to be in the game. Of course, we got those Prowler missions like I talked about. We saw that previously. And then as well, those Mysterio logos scattered around the city, so that's going to be interesting. One of those symbols has to do with one of Kraven's drones, which I believe we played. It's pretty much just you're chasing around one of Kraven's drones around the city, and you go through a wind tunnel the entire time, so you're in your web wings. It's super fun. When you catch up to the drone and you destroy it, you find out that there are certain people that Kraven's trying to hunt around the city, but they're very random people. I think even one of the people that it located when I destroyed the drone was said to be like an influencer. So I don't know what Kraven's trying to do. Is he hunting me? Maybe he found out that you guys aren't subscribed to the channel or something like that. So, you know, if you don't want Kraven to hunt me down, just change that right now. There's also these little camera icons. I mentioned in a previous video that this is a fun little side activity where you take pictures of notable things in New York City, and then Robbie Robertson is actually the one to narrate why that thing is so notable to New York. Finally, though, in the legend, there's one that has a pink spider bot, and I believe this has to do with that Spider-Verse side mission that might have to do with finding those different spider bots, and maybe they aren't going to give you the exact locations of them this time, so then we have to scour the open world and find them ourselves. I know that was one of the things that people kind of complained about when it came to the backpacks in Marvel Spider-Man for the PlayStation 4. It's just that it was very easy to find them because, well, they gave you the locations. So maybe this time around, they're going to make collectibles like those spider bots something that you have to just go out and find yourself. There's a blue spider icon, which we've seen before for random little things that our Spider-Men have to do around the city. And there's also scattered around the open world these crystals or rocks, whatever they might be. Some people are speculating maybe maybe this has something to do with Sandman. I don't want to toss the tinfoil hat on just yet, because the other theory that the community has is far more likely, in my opinion, in that maybe it has something to do with finding different shards of the meteorite that landed on Earth when the symbiote had arrived. I guess we'll have to wait and see when we get our hands on the game in less than 30 days. We also got to look through this trailer as to how fast travel works in this game, and man, in terms of tech, that is such an impressive sequence. Zooming in from the pause menu, essentially looking over the open world to getting into actual gameplay, is unreal. And I would literally see when I got my hands on with Spider-Man 2 that when I collected a spider bot or I did like a Kraven hideout, there would be a progress bar at the top that showed me how close I was to unlocking the fast travel point. I imagine though that fast travel in general is going to be a feature like the first two games that people hardly use, simply because of how much fun you're going to be having with the increased speed and web swinging and those web wings. And okay, now let's get into it. Towards the end of the trailer, they showed off a ton of alternate suits that are going to be in Marvel Spider-Man 2 that got so many people excited. They gave us a look at the Shadow Spider suit for Miles, as well as the 10th anniversary suit for Miles, which looks so damn good. We also got to see Peter's Falcon suit, which I've now learned comes from the comics, specifically the Civil War Volume 2. And this suit is particularly cool because when you use the web wings with it, it's actually Falcon wings that pop up. It's awesome. Then we got the Sam Raimi Symbiote suit, which you can use with symbiote abilities. Believe me, it is so satisfying. But also, we got to look at the Arachnite suit in the game for a split second, Miles's Puerto Rico suit, and then the Aaron Davis Iron Spider suit that comes from the comics as well. And behind that family business suit for Miles, you can see that Peter is wearing the new Scarlet Spider suit, which I do think looks cool, and I think Insomniac is going to give us a great rendition of it. To the left, we can actually see a bunch of returning suits from Spider-Man Miles Morales are going to be making it into this game. We got the track suit from Miles Morales, the sportswear suit from Miles, his 2099 suit, his OG base costume from the first game, and then the Miles Morales life story skin's going to be in here. And then there's one costume there that's pretty difficult to make out, so help me out in the comments if you know exactly where that comes from. It's definitely a suit for Miles because they're selecting costumes for Miles during this part of the trailer. When they start showing off the different colorways that you can attach to the alternate suits in this game, we can see that the Purple Rain suit for Miles Morales is returning in Spider-Man 2 as well. And then we get a great look at the Superior Spider-Man costume, one of my favorite alternate looks for Spider-Man that we've gotten in the comics. I'm not a big fan of the storyline, but I'm so glad the suit is here. And then one of the colorways for the Superior Spider-Man suit over on the right with the green and the black resembles the Superior Octopus costume that comes from the comic books, although I hope that that suit itself is actually an alternate suit in the game. Peter's classic suit is also back in this game with different colorways, one of which is the Webman. You'll love to see it. But also another colorway that gives you a more Steve Ditko style classic Spider-Man. It's kind of like a darker blue, almost black and red. And then the colorway on the right, I can't really make out what the difference is, but people have pointed out that it has a white spider logo on the chest. If that's it, well then I don't know if that's a color I'm going to use, but then again, it also looks a bit more saturated than the base classic costume. They also show off one of the different colorways for the Shadow Spider suit towards the end of the trailer as Miles does a brand new takedown where he's breakdancing against an enemy. And then we get to see a black and white version of Peter's 2099 costume, so that's coming back as well. The final thing that I wanted to break down, and this one is huge. Believe me, I know a lot of you guys missed this. The Iron Arms for Peter shoot out webs, and it's super cool. And that'll do it for everything you may have missed during the open world trailer for Marvel Spider-Man 2. Was there anything I missed and you caught? Let me know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed the video, hit the thumbs up button. I've been Caboose, and I'll see you guys later.